Hey guys, what's happening? It's Nate. Today we're going to take a look at some footage. We released this video not too long ago with Martin and I training, and kind of the idea was that it's my comeback to tennis, of really trying to get back out and compete again, playing matches, like really putting focus on these small goals and the journey to reach these goals. But I wanted to take a closer look at this and share some of these things that are going on. There was some really great comments and some people pointing out some different things, and I want to share my insights, and perhaps together, by sharing my goals, trying to get back to playing more aggressive, attacking, winning tennis, and knowing when to be a little bit more neutral in defense, I can help you with your journey as well. So let's jump into it. And right out of the gate, this is the first couple balls that we hit, but this is kind of a common theme that I was noticing. A lot of buggy whips, a lot of finishing over the dominant arm. And to be clear, this is a product of being late. It's a product of being jammed up and not having timing. I'll give myself a break. I've been off the court for a long time. It's going to take time to get the timing back. But I think it's important that we know the difference of when we're having a buggy whip. Now, this particular forehand, I'm happy with. This is what those previous forehands should have looked like. And what's happening here is I'm setting my feet earlier, and this ball maybe isn't quite as deep as some of the other ones that we saw, but the depth is still good, almost at the 60-foot line. And here, you're just seeing my feet are set way earlier, right? Feet are set way earlier, and therefore I can find contact out in front, and then we see a good weight transfer. The weight transfer is fine there. All right, so these are some of the things that I'm working through. Now, I want to show you when you should be buggy whipping. So in this next clip, we're going to see two different forehands. In this first one, you can see the buggy whip finish here, rackets up high. And this is the forehand that I have a problem with. And this is one that I need to work on, because what you're going to see is that my energy is up and my chest is opening up early. From here, you can see that the energy is going up too early. I'm jammed up. I'm trying to create this space, and the buggy whip is being forced. All right, but on the next one, I'll let this play through. This is where we should be seeing the buggy whip. Outer thirds, well past the single sideline, and as I'm working out to the ball, my energy is pulling, the momentum is really pulling to the outside of the court, and working off that right foot. This footwork is this is where I'm happy. This is a good place to be, like using momentum and not fighting momentum. And here we see the buggy whip, and that is practical application. That's where we want to see it. Now, the buggy whip, when we're hitting the buggy whip, we don't want to be here. Occasionally we get forced in that, and we do see the pros doing that, but they're also late when we see that. When we're truly seeing it, the racket's working still above the head, so you're still finishing across the body and then around. And that's going to occur a lot on the run, or if you're getting pushed back into the court. Now, what's ironic about this is that later on the forehand, and I'm also not creating space by moving back in the court. So let's talk about why that is. Part of the issue is that I've adopted a one-handed backhand. This has been a change that I made back about a year ago, but because of injuries I talked about in the previous video, I've been off the court due to some serious kind of hip and back issues. The one-hander hasn't had a lot of practice, but the one thing that I did find, I'll go ahead and jump to that footage. So here, what we're seeing is that I want to be forward on the ball. All right, so I'm not having any problem getting my front foot out to the ball. It's way more natural with the one-hander. And I'm just too reliant on the open stance on the forehand. But part of it is that through my career, I've always played off the baseline. And having a two-handed backhand, this was much easier because I wasn't afraid of a high ball. Now, for you guys out there with the one-hander, if someone's playing big and heavy, especially at Martin's level, 5'5", 6'0", easy, that heavy ball is really difficult if it gets above your shoulder on the one-hander. So the paradox here, and what I'm really running into, is staying forward on the backhand, but wanting to play off the line on the forehand, right? So this is all coming into play, and what's happened is I've really become aware of what's going on with my footwork, and that's the area that needs a lot of improvement. Here we can see content getting out to that front foot, tough ball there, but overall, that's where I want to be. I want to be on my front foot off the forehand, and then I'm getting stuck on my back foot on the forehand a lot, not finding the front foot. So this is the idea. This is the concept that we're going to jump into. When we're playing, when we're competing, we want to be moving dynamically on the court. And what I mean is we don't want to get stuck moving in these side-to-side manners. And this is how a lot of us play. It's like the old Atari 5200, right? We're just kind of moving on that straight line. You can think of every video game through the 80s. And what we do, we want to play in this 3D world. We want to be able to move in all of the directions. And most importantly is that when we're looking to be aggressive, we want to be cutting the corners off the court by moving diagonally up into the court. And then we also want to defend space by moving diagonally back off the court. All right, as you can see, if we connected this, we'd have an X. And so what I'm going to share with you here, this is our friend Joe, came in from New York and trained with us, great player. And this is something that he was running into, like myself, so we incorporated this X drill. All right, this is something that we started working on to help with defensive movement, neutral movement, and then also implementing offensive movement. And so what you're going to see here is when Joe gets a deep ball, he's moving back and giving space. Now from here, I'll pause that just a moment. The recovery, as he goes back, he then comes back on the same plane. Now the reason this is important is if a lot of players, I'll go back just a second, if they go all the way back to here, they suddenly have a recovery much deeper in the court, right? The recovery stays deep. Now that's a problem because if Scott, as the opposing player, if Joe was to stay that deep in the court, suddenly, Scott's looking to attack short angles and he's exposing the court. So we want to make sure that we're recovering back up to the line as well. And that's what we're going to see here is Joe moves back up to the center of the court. And then when he gets a short backhand, look at the movement. Much more efficient as he approaches and looks to attack. So this is just working on that one plane from here to here. Now this is a drill. Obviously there'd have to be some anticipation and whatnot that goes along with it. Now the second piece of this drill, as Joe recovers back there, he would go into the net. Scott pulled him in a little bit further, but in this particular drill, we're just working on baseline. He would go into the net, but let's say this ball only took him to like here. At this point, the likelihood of him doing a ton of damage off that ball, a mid-court ball, not super short, decent topspin, he would be better off recovering back. And that's what we're training here. And again, he's recovering back diagonally, right? He's recovering back to this point because what he wants to do is on this next ball, as it becomes deep, he can then get back behind it. And we're gonna see that's here. He recovers back, and then immediately he's getting behind this ball, okay? And from here, now he has the ability to play with some height, play that through, play with some height, good net clearance, so he's keeping the ball nice and deep. And that's right, he's getting a short forehand in which he can move up to directly and attack. All right, so this is the concept that we work on with a lot of students, and it's something that I need to be mindful of. Being off the courts, like the instincts are okay, but the footwork and not trusting the body is causing a lot of problems. Now, I'll show you a couple variations to where this did improve. So after drilling, we did some cross courts, working on some forehands, backhands, some slice. We started playing on the full court. And in these next few, you'll see here, as I'm working behind the ball, hitting a bit short there, getting in trouble. So Martin is double downing. But here I'm happy. I'm behind the ball, played with good depth, and gave myself the opportunity to get a short ball. And there you can see I'm stepping in and looking to be aggressive. All right, so that's a good component, is moving back up in the court. So it's not one or the other, where I'm staying up close for the backhand or I'm staying deep for the forehand. How do I combine the two? If I want to be further back on the court on the forehand, but I want to be up close on the backhand, it's dependent upon this X movement and cutting the corners off. So the last example I'll show you here, to Martin's chagrin. And Martin, I can't say this enough about Martin, is a phenomenal player. But he's a young man. You know, although he doesn't compete an absolute ton, he's a full-time pro. He's on the court 40, 50 hours a week and training collegiate level athletes. So he's getting a lot of reps. If he spent a ton of time competing, man, watch out. But here I'll give myself a little love. And this court positioning was good. The footwork was good here. So through this point play, as Martin pushes me deep off the court, and then he tries to expose this space, what I want you to see here is that I'm doing a good job of closing the gap, meaning although I'm completely out of position over here, right? This is a bad spot for me to be in. Martin, because he's got me deep, the X and O's here is he's looking to play a short ball, and that's exactly what we see him do. And really, Martin probably should have come in here. I think he was testing the backhand, maybe being a little bit nice, I don't know. But the important thing is in this positioning, I was pushed deep, and then you can see the movement is moving forward to cut off that back angle of the court instead of just running parallel with the baseline, because that's what would have gotten me in a ton of trouble. And there I'm able to set the front foot and make a good play off the backhand wing. So what I'll be spending some time on is really working on getting behind the ball on the forehand, but not feeling vulnerable being deep on a forehand and then suddenly, you know, being stuck deep on a backhand. Really working on this movement, making sure that I have the choice on my forehand, and then as I move back up, I can still take the backhand nice and early. Now in this video, I talked a little bit about feeling a bit uncomfortable through the middle of the court with the backhand. That was on a high ball, and that was really just with stepping back, and a lot about indecision, because normally I'd feel like I'd want to step left and attack it with the forehand, but kind of gas, bit out of shape, footwork not feeling phenomenal, so the option wasn't there, and I was really kind of second guessing. Also not super pleasant feeling on the hip with that cross step, but things are getting better, getting stronger, right? So the takeaway, guys, is make sure you're moving on this X pattern. I'm gonna continue to work on it. I think it might help you there at home if you start applying it to your game. Leave me some comments, let me know. What is it that's suffering in your game? And let's do this journey together, and hopefully sharing my insights and how I'm trying to overcome some injuries and some things that I'm working on. Highlight some things that maybe help you and get you back on the path to some winning tennis. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Share this with anybody you think may need it. Helps the video, helps the company an absolute ton. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.